What's up, everyone? It is Ricci here from the F1 podcast. Happy Thursday, or maybe Friday. It is June 29th, 2023, and we are recording this a day before the Austrian Grand Prix. And I'm here with my co-host, Andrew. Andrew, how are you doing, my man?
I'm doing well. Lots of fun news in the world of F1 this week. So, Ricci and I figured this would be a great time to talk about it. But first and foremost, how are you doing, my man?
I am doing great, but I think, just excited because July is a busy month for Formula One. I think we have 4 races in the next month, and it's like I'm just going to be on the couch, or we're going to be at.
How crazy is it that we're already halfway done the calendar year?
You're beating us.
I know. Well, I mean, we're not done halfway done the F1 calendar year, but yes, Aston Martin being up in P3 ahead of Ferrari over like the first 8 rounds was not something I expected, to be honest with you. I will take it, of course, as every Ferrari fan is probably in shock and shambles right now, wondering when they are going to get out of this rut. Maybe Canada was the case. Maybe that was the time together, but who knows? But Ricci, there was some fun stuff that came in the mail to you this week.
Let's just get right into that. I just want to give a shout out to the ladies at the I Give a F1 podcast, Allison and Lynette. You ladies are gems, and they sent us some amazing stickers that we're going to rock on the streets of Toronto. I will post a photo on the YouTube page, our YouTube video, and as well, I'll give a link to where these stickers are from. And Andrew, I don't know if you heard, but we have some new fans and friends with the Dirty Side of the Track podcast. They were just talking about us, or me particularly, in their latest episode, highlighting the Canadian Grand Prix. And again, I am sorry, Brian and Rob, I hit one of your beers. Please forgive, but it was great banter. And, honestly, I deserve to get roasted. Totally 1,000%.
You lose. It was fun. When you sent us the link to the moment, I was like expecting some fun cases. No, they just roasted the crap out of you for about a couple minutes, which was hilarious, and loved every second of it. Always loved great banter on the show.
I think it's just really exciting because, when you try to plan to see someone at a Grand Prix, it can be very difficult. And so in the moment where you're in one spot at the same time, you check your phone, you get your message, and you know where that spot is. You ran excitements. Yeah. Anyways, guys, come back to Canada next year. I will buy you a beer. Probably not the $11 beer, but maybe a beer in town. So let's.
And Brian and Rob, we are Canada's #1 F1 podcast. According to our mothers. Absolutely.
Do a barrel roll.
Just a couple quick stats before we get into this week's episode. We are sitting at 444 followers on Instagram, and this is really exciting. We are hoping, I want to set a goal. I want to hit 500 followers by the end of July. I think that is doable in 30-something days, so we really appreciate our supporters and our fans to kind of keep promoting us. We've been getting some great engagement. Specifically latest videos. We just came out with our 2023 Canadian Grand Prix journey video, which I took my GoPro, took a lot of photos, a lot of videos. Those are one of my favorite videos to edit. I always have a soft spot for the Canadian Grand Prix, so I will make sure the link is posted on the YouTube page on this week's episode, so you go check it out. We are over 200 subscribers on YouTube. However, 99.6% of you are not subscribed. So
hit that damn subscribe button, people. Come on.
We need to find a way to pay for those $11 beers. And in Montreal, and let's be real, next year with inflation, it will probably be $13 for a Heineken. Yeah.
But I want to say, Ricci, great job on the video. I watched it when it first came out, and I loved how immersed you were in all the F1 experience. So if you want to live like vicariously through Ricci, like I had to for the Canadian Grand Prix, watch the video. Unbelievable.
So actually, it's funny that we talk about, $11 beers and payments and buying stuff. Let's just get right into it. Ryan Reynolds is coming to Formula One.
There was a big purchase this week of some shares. But yeah, F1 team Alpine has secured a $218 million US investment from a group of investors that includes actors Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhenney, and Michael B. Jordan.
I didn't know Jordan was part of that.
Yeah. So they're buying a 24% stake in the company, which now values Alpine at around $900 million US. And it's a consortium made of maximum effort investments, which involves Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney. If you two are not familiar with them both, Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool, amazing video, amazing actor. And as well with him and Rob McElhenney, they acquired AFC Wrexham back in 2021, who have, skyrocketed in popularity. They have documentaries out on, I believe, Netflix, or is it Prime Video? But the popularity of the club has skyrocketed. The results have been crazy, and they've brought them back into professional football from the non-league side. So that's
Yeah,
incredible.
I think they just got promoted. They got promoted this year too.
Absolutely. They got promoted. And so Ryan Reynolds running a high. He was trying to purchase, the NHL franchise, the Ottawa Senators, but I guess that kind of fell through. So why don't you go to the next best thing, buy a significant stake, almost a quarter of stake in Alpine. And then as well, they're working with Outro Capital, who have previously worked with the NFL with the Dallas Cowboys, and Redbird Capital Partners. So you're going to love this, Ricci. They're an investor at Fenway Sports Group, who own Liverpool FC, your football club, and the Boston Red Sox. So this deal is set to significantly impact their marketing approach at Alpine with regards to the French brand car Renault. And as they're going to put the Alpine A10 on sale in the States in 2026. So gaining that new popularity, especially taking from, I would say, the AFC Wrexham growth popularity in the States, you're just bringing in household names to Alpine is really just going to skyrocket, I think, the brand globally, and it's going to be a major impact in the US when they enter into the market there.
So let's build on that. I think Ryan Reynolds dodged a bullet not buying the Ottawa Senators, and I think this is a better investment. I feel like there's a little bit more excitement with Alpine and Formula One than the Ottawa Senators right now. So this is really interesting to kind of see. This kind of obviously was a big news story, and just the amount of success they did with AFC Wrexham making the next moving up in the football division is really critical. And we're just seeing this right now in the States, particularly having 3 races here. Canada just came off a record weekend in terms of attendance. And I know Austin set a record of attendance last year. So I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of see, we always talked about is when is that peak in Formula One going to go down again? I don't see it anytime soon. Max Verstappen keeps winning a lot, but with all this investment and all these commercial deals and everything, it's a little hard, a little more expensive to go to some of these Formula One stuff now.
Well, especially as F1 grows on a global scale, right? They're piggybacking off of the major success that they've experienced through DTS globally, and now that they have new races in the US, Alpine bringing on those American-based partners are gonna just, especially when entering their market for their new car in 2026. Significant revenue jump, and just having that brand value and that brand image already set in stone. Imagine Ryan Reynolds and Michael B. Jordan, Rob McElhenney showcasing themselves that they're going to be in Vegas, guaranteed. They'll probably be in Austin too, right? They have a couple of these big key US races coming up where they're really going to be able to show their mettle and really boost the Alpine group there. So I think it's an incredible investment on Ryan Reynolds and that whole group side.
I was going to ask, does Shaquille O'Neal have a sponsorship with Formula One? I know he's been to races, but I think that would be awesome to see him be part of a team or something. I know he was on top of giving out awards at I forget which Grand Prix. That was the U.S. Grand Prix in Austin. But I'm just curious, what drivers? Well, I mean, Gordon Ramsay definitely loves Formula One. I ran into him, but what celebrities do you think would be funny? Just them dropping their boatloads of money in it.
I would love to see Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, get that. Well, Brad Pitt being in an F1 movie already. Tom Cruise and being a Top Gun. Lewis Hamilton loves to be in a Top Gun movie. I just think that'd be a marriage right there. If those two guys could invest in an F1 team, I think they would love that. But it would be fun to see more celebrities get involved in F1, and F1 and Liberty Media Group in general would love to see that too, because they're bringing these collaborations and these partnerships are just only going to grow the sport, and sky's the limit at that point. When you start getting these big A-list celebrities to start being involved in your sport, it's going to grow exponentially.
Okay, I got a sleeper pick that, this guy needs a couple of years and a couple of big contracts. but we got to get Toronto just drafted Grady Dick. He's
Oh,
got to get
Grady
in
Dick
some
would
sort
have the best swag. Oh my goodness.
I was listening to a number of sports channels, and ever since that he'd been drafted the Toronto Raptors this week, it's been crazy. But yeah, it's been hilarious. But yeah, I would love to see him or even Drake. Like, let's do a collab or something.
If Canada was to get another F1 team, or all right, or actually if they had a headquartered team in Canada, I know it'd be tough to do, but I count Aston Martin as mainly Canadian in terms of ownership, even though it's owned by Aston Martin in that case. But I would love, if we were a true Canadian-based team, definitely Drake would be awesome.
The F1 Drake team, like, what would you call it?
How sick would that OVO logo, brand, and color scheme be on an F1 car? Like, take the old Lotus or the old Haas, like the 2019 Haas livery, and just absolutely beef it up with the OVO branding.
Are we talking about the one where they had the black, the all black and the energy drink company? Is it that Haas? Yeah, that would look sexy.
Oh yeah.
But so we talk about this rebranding and everything. We're excited about this, but unfortunately, one team is not having the greatest of seasons, and that's AlphaTauri. They're going to change names next year. Honestly, I was expecting Williams to be the bottom of the barrel team this year. Things are not going well in AlphaTauri. They're set to be renamed in 2024 as part of their team's ongoing restructure. Part of their retaining AlphaTauri is to transition the main hub of operations to the UK so they can build regarding the aerodynamics outpost and allow the greater collaboration with Red Bull. Curious on this new change. Clearly speculates it could be renamed. I don't know, it's not seeing well. And obviously we'll talk a little bit about that, but there's some questionable moments going on with some drivers, but let's focus on the team specifically right now with this news.
For me, like being, I guess, a recent fan, I was always confused at the fact that the junior team, quote unquote, like the AlphaTauri, the brand, was located in Fienza, like in Italy, like all the way across the continent, when their sister company is located in the UK. You think that maybe for, as mentioned, to improve form and to maybe save some cost, share some potential resources, and to be able to maybe oversee it in a better direction. I think this is a good move to bring him to the UK. I think it makes a whole lot of sense. I almost wonder if that distance was causing was significantly hurting the brand, right? And them almost losing it. I think this is a big part of the new management group's kind of leadership moving forward. And I think you have the great opportunity now to build a winning culture within your junior team, to have that transition over to the main F1 team. Oh my goodness, like Red Bull could become a powerhouse for years if they get this correct.
Yeah, not only if they get this correct, but even if they put AlphaTauri in a position higher up in the constructors to at least get some of that cash bag, some of that money, and more time or less time in the wind tunnel, just be able to make it a competitive car. Because Red Bull, they obviously, their junior team has had some significant good drivers that have come from it. That and Williams, obviously I can just think of the top ones where drivers have come from. And I'm curious to see how this kind of rolls out. AlphaTauri's kind of been in the news lately for a number of things, and it's just kind of a tough day at the office over there, I think.
You want to have a more competitive car within your junior program so that you can give your junior team a taste of that F1 success, right? And getting in the points. And then if you see any significant standouts, that's when you promote them to the team, right? Like the whole Toro Rosso with Sebastian Vettel, and he won 4 championships moving to Red Bull. You have Max Verstappen, who had an incredible season when he was, I think, 17 or 18 with Toro Rosso. Moved to, moving up to the Red Bull team in 2016, winning his first race, and then now being a 2-time world champion and on verge to getting his third, and been completing the triple. I think to me, it makes so much more sense for Red Bull. And now that they can have an opportunity to really be able to develop these drivers locally, in that case, I think this could be a really significant opportunity for them, and they could, again, as I said, if they get this correct, they could be a powerhouse, maybe even finish 1-2 in the constructors, Red Bull, AlphaTauri. Going future, because you never know, right? You never know in that case.
Hey man, if you go back to like the first episode of this season, and I said Fernando Alonso going to Aston Martin, stupid, and now look now. So I can't even like I wanna disagree with you, but just knowing this sport, it's probably going to happen, or like I'm just gonna get thrown off completely. I guess let's just talk. You wanted to talk about the driver situation at AlphaTauri. I think you sent an article in the
Yeah, like you know, the man Helmut Marko. He's very outspoken. Put that in light terms.
really. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, he dropped a little bit of a bombshell in the F1 world, but when doesn't Helmut do that? He was on the Inside Line F1 podcast when he asked about the last driver that I disagreed on with Horner. He said not often, but sometimes we do. The last one he would say was De Vries, because it's basically AlphaTauri, but we're a big family. We get opinions. He was not a fan of De Vries, so that's saying Horner wasn't a fan of the De Vries bring on that moment, and apparently he's saying at the moment he looks like he's right. So that's if you're Nyck De Vries, that's a big wake-up call, in my opinion, right now, when you're getting publicly scolded about you being the wrong choice to be brought in.
Yeah, it's interesting that like they're talking about this when they're so far ahead in like the drivers and constructors. It's just, maybe they get bored at the top and they just want to do it. But like, look, I'm just all joking aside. Like, yeah, Nyck is not De Vries is not having a good start of the season of his Formula One career, and we can see him struggling definitely in that car. You're hearing rumors that maybe like Danny Rick would get that seat, but then for me, it's again, I just don't personally see Danny Rick going to that car. Like, was meant to be a junior seat, kind of making your way upwards. And I feel like if Danny were to take that seat, it's kind of like do you think he would have more fun being a third driver than actual driving in an actual car? But like, I mean, we've kind of seen there with Valtteri Bottas this year, where it's just like he is a great driver, but the car, he's not having the greatest of starts of seasons compared to last year.
Right, I think on Bottas' side, it was kind of a change in the challenge, right?
Yeah.
He wanted to be fighting in that midfield, bringing up that team that he just couldn't be that, being a number 2 at Mercedes, right? It was always tough. So he just wanted a new challenge. I don't think, though, this is a good move on Danny Rick to go back to AlphaTauri in this current state of form of the team. I think as you mentioned, Red Bull has AlphaTauri is the junior team. Why not? You have so many young drivers in the Formula 2 and Formula 3 ranks. Jack Crawford, Dennis Hauger, you have Liam Lawson. Like, you have so many of these talented drivers at the support series or at like the sub series of F1 that they need to get promoted. And by taking away a potential seat, then it with Danny Rick coming back into the helm, I think it's tough. I can see Danny. I think it'd be best if Danny Rick maybe went to another team coming back into the sport, unless he's purely there for a mentorship standpoint, like Schumacher was when he came in with Mercedes in 2010, kind of giving them the lay of the land and how to grow that team. But I just don't see that happening truly with Danny Rick, because unless he's changed, right? Unless he's changed his whole perception about being an F1 driver at that level. Because last year he didn't want to be in that midfield seat. I'm curious. So what do you think the AlphaTauri branding will change to? Will they go back to Toro Rosso, or do you think there's a new name coming on?
I think there were some glorious years of the Toro Rosso. Like you saw, did Vettel win his first race with Toro Rosso? So. I would think, was that Italy? I don't remember. But yeah, maybe that let's go back to basics. Let's go back to the time where like the team was like more competitive. I think that makes more sense. I can't really think of anything else particularly there. And
I speculate there's one potential high tech GP. So high tech has been a F2 and F3 support team in Formula One for as long as I can remember. They've recently got a massive investment into that company, and they put in a team bid for 2026. But I almost wonder there's an opportunity now to kind of join Red Bull in that side, because they have hosted many of Red Bull Junior's drivers in the past at F2 and F3. I'm thinking like Jack Crawford for sure this year, Liam Lawson in the past. So maybe that's an opportunity for them to come into the sport now, unless they actually just want to bid for a new team in 2026, purely in that regards. Speaking of, we're continuing on the Red Bull path. Ricci, crazy news in the Red Bull camp this week as well.
It's not a quiet week, is it? Thought it was.
No, not at all.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about what just happened. Sergio Perez, big weekend for Red Bull going back to Austria, one of their home Grand Prix. Having a little bit of he's ill, and we hope that he gets better. But he canceled media on Thursday to rest up for tomorrow. I hope it's minor. I can't see Daniel Ricciardo coming in, but like Sergio Perez kind of really needs a bounce back weekend, especially at a home turf.
Yeah, when you're under the gun at your constructor's home race and you're feeling ill,
Good luck.
Just tough. That is, I hope Sergio gets recovered well. I hope he is able to compete tomorrow so that he has a chance to come back in the the drivers' championship potentially, because it would be fun to see somebody fight Verstappen at the top, right? Instead of him running away with it halfway through the season. But yeah, it's to be honest with you, I don't know how many drivers really enjoy the Thursday media gauntlet that they get, right? So maybe Sergio dodged a little bit of bullets there, eh? With being sick.
Yeah, we obviously hope that it's the best. And I mean, if you're not feeling 100% and you have to sit in front of media all day, like I would probably just fall asleep on the press conference. But let's get right back into the Austrian Grand Prix. This has always been a fun track to watch. I know Red Bull usually dominates here. Leclerc came out with a sleeper last year and was able to win on Red Bull territory. I don't think anyone was anticipating that one. Talked about Sergio Perez. This is the second sprint format of the season. Can Ferrari build off the momentum from Canada? We hope. What is Mercedes going to do? Fernando Alonso, could he potentially get Max Verstappen? Like, what is your thoughts, Andrew, going into this weekend? I'm just hoping that Ferrari can just get a podium. I think that would be amazing.
I think so. If we're looking at the top four teams right now, I think Red Bull will probably run away with this weekend, unfortunately, because of being in a home race, and Max just loves winning here.
Yeah,
he's so good around this track. If Sergio was not going into this weekend feeling ill, I would have said he may have had a surprise opportunity to win the sprint race on Saturday, which would have been fun to watch. I just don't know when you're not 100% in that car, and a lot of it has to do with reactions. And when you're just, it's all mental, mind, body, right? And being ill affects that. And I just don't know how well he's going to be able to perform this weekend if he's not fully 100%. I hear Aston Martin is bringing some upgrades, performance upgrades. It's going to get him closer to the Red Bull this weekend, apparently. I don't know. They bring performance upgrades every weekend from now on. I don't know.
So do you just add like duct tape to the car? Like what do you do?
I don't shave off part of the wing. Who knows? I don't know what's considered an upgrade, but apparently, and we're going to shout out Erica, her team, McLaren. This apparently is a very flagship weekend for performance because they are bringing a massive upgrade, from what I understand, to the Red Bull ring.
Well, I guess we'll see it to believe it. I like they did have some promise in Canada, and unfortunately, the silly penalties kind of screwed them over. I still can't get over that unsportsmanlike penalty for Lando. Yeah, so Lando Norris did talk about that they're going to get some major upgrades this weekend. I don't think Oscar Piastri is going to get the same, but they've not scored any points in the last two races. But I believe this major upgrade package is going to put them in a good spot to compete and hopefully get some more points on the board. So yeah, hopefully we'll get to see that. Other news, I don't know if you've heard this, Andrew, but talks with Leclerc and Ferrari have slowly begun.
Ooh.
There is discussions if he's going to stay or if he's going to leave. And I think he's mentioned that he wants to stay. But it also is curious to see what is kind of the path forward for Leclerc in Ferrari. it's I don't know. We'll just kind of just have to let this one go.
Yeah, like you're in a tough position at Ferrari right now because you might lose one of the, a guy who could win the World Drivers' Championship. Should he kind of, clean up his act in terms of losing out on mistakes, as well as, if they provide him that race car, that winning race car, just who would you go to afterwards is the question. Like Lewis, but Lewis is in talks with the Mercedes, so like what is there, right?
I've said this before in other episodes. I cannot see Lewis going to Ferrari. I cannot see it. That's like you going from the Toronto Maple Leafs to Montreal Canadiens, or I don't know what's another good baseball
Like the
analogy,
Boston
but like
Bruins, yeah.
or Boston Bruins or Boston Red Sox to the New York Yankees. No, I just don't see it. I feel like it's just very thing. But I think just focus back on the weekend. Yeah, I'm curious to see how Ferrari will come back, but maybe in the mid tier, like Alex Albon had an incredible race weekend in Montreal. So let's see if he's able to kind of pick that up. And I mean, sprint races can always just be a very interesting beast too. So where are the drivers going to stand going into sprint this weekend?
Well, fun fact: there's going to be rain on Friday, most likely. There's going to be rain on Saturday, most likely, and there might be some rain on Sunday. So who knows? This might be all up in the air coming the Red Bull Ring this weekend.
The rain is always everywhere. Just make sure you bring your ponchos for those going into the Red Bull Ring. I guess Andrew, any final thoughts to go into Austria this weekend before we wrap up this week's episode?
Aston Martin, Mercedes, Ferrari, I beg you, please make it competitive this weekend.
Okay,
Please.
I guess we could try that.
As much as I love to see this dominance of Red Bull in the sense that we may not ever see this again, I would like to see some form of competition at the front so that Max is not just competing on 35 AI level. Maybe it's like 105 AI level.
That's a very good point. And I guess let's just end it off this week's episode. This is season 3, episode 17 of the F1 podcast. I would also like to make a note that keep looking to our Instagram page. Think we're going to try to do a fan meetup. We're going to try to do a fan meetup for the British Grand Prix at Trinity Common, but just stay tuned. But again, we really appreciate everyone's support. Make sure to follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Myself, Andrew, and Erica, who couldn't make it to this week's episode, really appreciate all the support. And again, thank you to the Dirty Side of the Track podcast, and as well as I Give a F1 podcast. I'm going to put both their podcasts down in the comment section below. But anyways, thank you everybody, and we'll see you after the Austrian Grand Prix.